Do not expect that once taking advantage of Russia's weakness, you will receive dividends forever. Russian has always come for their money. And when they come, do not rely on an agreement signed by you are supposed to justify. They are not worth the paper it is written. Therefore, with the Russian is to play fair or do not play. Never fight with Russian. On your every stratagem, they answer unpredictable stupidity. What we learn from history is that no one learns from history. The secret of politics? Make a good treaty with Russia. The division of the United States into federations of equal force was decided long before the Civil War by the high financial powers of Europe. These bankers were afraid that the United States, if they remained in one bloc and as one nation, would attain economic and financial independence, which would upset their financial domination over the world. The voice of the Rothschilds prevailed. Therefore, they sent their emissaries into the field to exploit the question of slavery and to open an abyss between the two sections of the Union. People never lie so much as after a hunt, during a war, or before an election. Only a fool learns from his own mistakes. The wise man learns from the mistakes of others. God has a special providence for fools, drunks, and the United States of America. The great questions of the day will not be settled by means of speeches and majority decisions, but by iron and blood. The death of Lincoln was a disaster for Christendom. There was no man in the United States great enough to wear his boots, and the bankers went anew to grab the riches. I fear that foreign bankers, with their craftiness and tortuous tricks, will entirely control the exuberant riches of America and use it to systematically corrupt civilization. The Americans are a very lucky people. They're bordered to the north and south by weak neighbors, and to the east and west by fish. Never believe anything in politics until it has been officially denied. One day, the great European war will come out of some damned foolish thing in the Balkans. We live in a wondrous time in which the strong is weak because of his moral scruples, and the weak grows strong because of his audacity. Even the most favorable outcome of the war will never lead to the decomposition of the main forces of Russia, which is based on millions of Russian. The latter, even if they break up international treaties, just as quickly reconnect with each other, like pieces of a particle of mercury. A generation that has taken a beating is always followed by a generation that deals one. When you want to fool the world, tell the truth. You can't destroy the Polish national consciousness or Poles on the battlefield, but if you give them power, they will destroy themselves. A really great man is known by three signs: generosity in the design, humanity in the execution, moderation in success. People who love sausage and people who believe in justice should never watch either of them being made mine. It is the destiny of the weak to be devoured by the strong. Preventive war is like committing suicide out of fear of death. A bad plan that is well executed will yield much better results than a good plan that is poorly executed. The nation that has the schools has the future. With bad laws and good civil servants, it's still possible to govern. But with bad civil servants, even the best laws can't help. He who has his thumb on the purse has the power. When a man says he approves of something in principle, it means he hasn't the slightest intention of carrying it out in practice. I consider even a victorious war as an evil, from which statesmanship must endeavor to spare nations. Anyone who has ever looked into the glazed eyes of a soldier dying on the battlefield will think hard before starting a war. Politics is the art of the possible, the attainable, the art of the next best. I have found that nothing so deceives your adversaries as telling them the truth. I have always found the word Europe on the lips of those who wanted something from others which they dared not demand in their own names. Hounds follow those who feed them. With a gentleman, I am always a gentleman and a half, and with a fraud, I try to be a fraud and a half. The most significant event of the 20th century will be the fact that the North Americans speak English. A conquering army on the border will not be stopped by eloquence. Man cannot control the current of events. He can only float with them and steer the aim. Be polite, write diplomatically. Even in a declaration of war, one observes the rules of politeness. The government should cultivate the view also among the propertyless classes of the population, those who are the most numerous and the least educated, that the state is not only an institution of necessity, but also of welfare. By recognizable and direct advantages, they must be led to look upon the state not as an agency devised solely for the protection of the better situated classes of society, but also as one serving their needs and interests. I have never lived on principles. When I have had to act, I never first asked myself on what principles I was going to act, but I went at it and did what I thought fit. I have often reproached myself for my want of principle. Laws are like medicine. They generally cure an evil by a lesser or a passing evil. You can do everything with bayonets, but you are not able to sit on them. We Germans fear God, but nothing else in the world. A journalist is a person who has mistaken their calling. There is only one greater folly than that of the fool who says in his heart there is no God, and that is the folly of the people that says with its head that it does not know whether there is a God or not. There is a providence that protects idiots, drunkards, children, and the United States of America. Love is blind. Friendship tries not to notice. Faust complained about having two souls in his breast, but I harbor a whole crowd of them, and they quarrel. It is like being in a republic. Universal suffrage is the government of a house by its nursery. A government must not waver once it has chosen its course. It must not look to the left or right, but go forward. History is simply a piece of paper covered with print. The main thing is to make history, not to write it. Better pointed bullets than pointed words. Politics is not a science, but an art. I have seen 3 emperors in their nakedness, and the sight was not inspiring. Whoever speaks of Europe is wrong. It is a geographical expression. A little caution outflanks a large cavalry. Politics ruins the character. Life has taught me to forgive much, but to seek forgiveness still more. My subject is my life, and my life is my subject. Physicians still retain something of their priestly origin. They would gladly do what they forbid. Share your favorite quote in the comments, and let's inspire each other.